already.
Your dog?
Yeah, my dog.
They didn't even hire you instead.
Well, I spelled it like alphabet soup, and I.
Okay.
So
Alright, guys.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you all for joining today.
Okay.
We have been asked to evaluate two different organizations facing very different challenges.
Okay.
So the first one is experiencing very rapid expansion and they're attempting to sustain it with long-term growth. And then the second company is navigating a very major internal crisis while trying to maintain operational stability. So what makes these organizations interesting is that neither challenge is purely financial, right?
Mhm.
So in both cases, the decisions being made are affecting the facilities, the people, the operations, and the long-term value of the organizational assets.
So it's like different industries, like similar questions.
Yeah.
Can their facilities and real estate strategies support where that organization wants to go?
Yeah, and if not, what risks are being created along the way?
Let's find out. We're gonna start first with McDonald's.
Welcome.
Hello. Good, how are you? Alright, let's begin. Mr. Kroc, your organization has expanded remarkably quickly, and we'd just like to understand your thinking behind that growth.
The opportunity was obvious. Communities were growing, people were traveling more, and there was demand for a fast, reliable dining experience. So we focused on placing our restaurants where they would be visible, accessible, and capable of serving large numbers of customers.
Okay, so the location wasn't purely real estate; it was also a business strategy.
Absolutely. A great operation in the wrong location is still the wrong location.
One thing we noticed during our review is the consistency across locations. The restaurants may be in different cities, but they operate almost identically.
Customers shouldn't have to wonder what they're getting, whether they're visiting one restaurant or 100. The experience should be familiar.
That level of consistency requires more than operational discipline. It requires standardization of facilities, equipment, maintenance practices, and workplace procedures.
Consistency is what allows us to grow without losing control.
Okay, so in many ways, you've transformed individual restaurants into a coordinated portfolio of assets rather than a collection of separate locations.
So, from what I'm hearing, the strategy has clearly created value, but growth creates challenges of its own, right?
Such as?
As more locations are added, maintaining quality becomes increasingly difficult, right? And one poorly operated site can affect the reputation of the entire organization.
We often see this in larger portfolios. The challenge isn't acquiring the facility, it's maintaining the facility after it's opened.
Okay, so where property management themes begin to emerge, site selection, portfolio growth, facility standardization, occupancy planning, and long-term assets performance all become interconnected.
Growth is exciting, but managing is the difficult part.
Yeah, which is where organizations often discover whether their system is truly scalable or not. Alright, so there's another aspect we'd like to discuss, which is governance.
Okay, go ahead.
So many of your decisions accelerated growth and strengthened the organization. However, growth can sometimes come at the expense of relationships.
Yeah, and stakeholders place value on trust just as they place value on financial performance.
Whether we're talking about franchisees, partners, employees, or investors, organizations rely on those relationships to function effectively.
Business often requires difficult decisions. For me, business is war.
That's true. The question isn't whether difficult decisions are necessary. The question is how those decisions affect stakeholders in the long term.
So an alternative strategy may have involved slower expansion combined with stronger governance structures and greater collaboration with franchise partners.
Possibly. But it's dog eat dog, it's rat eat rat.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Kroc. It was nice having you. All right, let's move on to our second organization. Rogers. Mr. Rogers, your organization on Wall Street recently faced a crisis that threatened its stability. We just kind of like to understand how operations continued during that period.
Most people think a crisis looks dramatic, but in reality, people continue showing up to work, systems keep running, and everyone does their best to make sense of difficult information.
Mr. Rogers, when did it become clear that the organization was facing a serious problem?
That was when the focus shifted from long-term planning to immediate survival.
So, yet despite the uncertainty, the organization remained operational?
I had to. Markets opened the next morning regardless of what was happening.
One thing that stood out during our review was the extent to which the organization depended on its operational infrastructure.
How so?
During the crisis, executives were making decisions, but those decisions depended on functional facilities, communication systems, security operations, information technology, and support staff.
Well, most people never think of those systems until something goes wrong.
Which is exactly why they're so important. Business continuity isn't only about financial resilience. It's about ensuring the workplace remains functional under extraordinary circumstances.
Yeah, honestly, without those systems, leadership cannot respond effectively to disruption.
Yeah, that's right. Stability becomes extremely valuable when everything else is uncertain.
There's another group affected during a crisis that often receives less attention.
That's right, the employees.
Exactly. Many people still need information, communication, leadership, and a functioning workplace. Many of them aren't thinking about a corporate strategy. They're thinking about whether they'll still have jobs next week.
Yeah, that's something leadership has to remember. Every decision affects people somewhere in the organization.
Mr. Rogers, I have to ask, looking back, do you think there were warning signs?
I think there usually are. Organizations rarely fail because no one noticed the problem. More often, concerns are underestimated until they become a big problem.
Do you believe alternative decisions could have been made?
Possibly. Earlier intervention, stronger oversight, and greater transparency may have reduced the severity of the situation.
Yeah, I guess that reinforces an important lesson. Responding to a crisis is valuable, but preventing it is even more valuable.
Alrighty, well thank you for your time today, Mr. Rogers.
Thank you.
Alright, so we've completed both evaluations. At first glance, these organizations appear completely different, right? Like, one was pursuing very aggressive growth, and the other was attempting to survive in a very big crisis. But really what strikes me most is that both organizations made decisions designed to achieve short-term objectives.
Yeah, like McDonald's prioritized expansion and market growth.
And the investment fund prioritized survival and operational continuity. So,
In both those cases, those decisions achieved their immediate goals. However, they created consequences that extended beyond the organization itself.
And one affected franchisees, partners, and future governance.
yeah, and the other affected employees, clients, investors, and honestly, the public trust.
Yeah, the lesson really isn't that one organization was right and that the other was wrong.
No, the lesson is that every strategic decision has operational consequences.
And every operational decision has stakeholder consequences.
And the corporate real estate and facilities management exists at the intersection of those decisions.
So I would say throughout both reviews, several themes consistently emerged. So first we had site selection, portfolio management, facility standardization, business continuity, risk management, governance, stakeholder management, and workplace strategy.
And those themes are often treated as support functions, but both organizations demonstrate that they directly influence business outcomes.
Yeah, ultimately, successful organizations understand that real estate, facilities, people, and strategy cannot be managed separately. They must all be aligned. Because whether an organization is growing rapidly or facing a crisis, the ability to manage its assets, operations, and stakeholders will often determine its long-term success.